here is a review that's going to be done slightly differently. Hello and welcome to AAR on Air. Yes, today is going to be something completely different. I'm not in a studio, I'm out in a hugely windy environment. So we're down the range and it is blowing just off the tail end of Storm Amy. So it's quieting down a lot, but it is still doing a lot of blowing, mostly down near the target area. It's not too bad up here, but you walk down there and it's really blowing. But here is something I wouldn't normally do. I don't normally do this vlogging type thing, but all I was trying to do is to give you some idea as to what kind of windy, blustery day this is, and I'm trying to shoot out at, and the results that I've been getting have been absolutely tremendous from these rifles. Whoops, I'm going down a rabbit dig. As you can see, what you have down here is you've got quite an open bit where the wind does decide to just blow itself up, and it comes through then to the target area, and you've got no hope, because from behind there is where the wind just howls across here, where I'm more protected where I am sat up there. So it gives you some sort of idea as to why. I mean, the trees up here are just going crazy because it's pulling it across over the field. That's it, and the sun's trying to come out now, which is really nice. Would have been nice. Oh, it's warm as well when it does come out. But I've just given you an idea. Now, I've purposely taken the dead mouse, they call them dead cats, but when they're tiny like this, they call them dead mouse, off of this, so the chances are it will have distorted the microphone, and I've done that deliberately to give you an idea as to just how windy it is. It's calming just a little bit at the minute, but yeah, a lot of trees, and they just funnel it all the way down the paddock, just to give you an idea. But anyway, this is because the show must go on, and it's the fact that I've had recently the X200 Vanguard from Air Arms. Now, I wanted to do a review. It suddenly struck me in bed one night that I wanted to do this particular review. And this is a versus review. And it's two guns versus each other, where Air Arms will win. There's the spoiler alert. The reason it's going to win is because they're both Air Arms. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to compare old Air Arms to new Air Arms, as it were. Because what I have here is my personal first PCP I ever bought, Air Arms S410. Now, it is absolutely mint condition. It's been blueprinted by Karl down at Vector Air a few years ago and refinished, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Very rare does this come out. I think it's probably 2 years since I shot it. Well, no, it's probably about 10 minutes ago when I re-zeroed a new scope on the top. But anyway, you know what I mean. This is a PCP, as I've already said. It is the lower end of the Air Arms, because now there's the 510, and there were various variants that went on to the takedown rifle, the TDR 410, it went on to the TDR 510, etc. And then they went with the 510 and they went all tactical with it by slapping a load of American bits on it, which is great if you're into tactical. Most people know that I love a traditional rifle, and I still absolutely love this rifle. So what have we got? Let's go through it just a little bit, shall we? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this, which is the 410. Now, this particular one is, believe it or not, in 2.2 caliber, because early days, new one in, oh, you want 2.2, don't you? Obviously from now on, most of the time I shoot 177, which on a day like this is probably a bit awkward on a 177. So this may have the advantage, because yes, I'm going to do some target work between the two, just for the heck of it. And this particular one is the beach stocked It is unregulated. It has a beautiful trigger to it, and it is a bolt action rather than a side lever. So more traditional. The air gauge is on the underside and is just a black on white. It's an it isn't even labelled up as air arms, it just says bar on it, and it doesn't give you any indication as to what the maximum fill pressure is. Well, the max fill pressure on this is about 180, 190. I normally run it at about 180. Now from that, because the tube is quite a small tube, you will get around about 80 shots out of it, which is about 7 or 8 magazines, because it's a 10 round magazine. It is comfortable to use. It is handed. It is not ambidextrous. This particular one is handed. Now they do it in left and right hand versions, I do believe, and it comes with a fixed silencer on the end. And with that silencer on the end, it isn't loud, not at all. In fact, it is very, very quiet. You can use it in back garden conditions without any issues at all. There is one failing that I have with this, and to this date I believe it is still exactly the same, and that is where you fill it, because air arms use their own filling system, which is a huge item, and by the time you've actually clipped it on the end, you will eventually start scratching the underside of your silencer, and because the silencer is fixed, then it's not something that you want to be taking off each time just to get some air into it, because it's not a huge shot count. It's enough, but it's not a huge shot count, because I don't get hung up on shot counts anyway. But that is a bit of an annoyance, and to me it was a bit of a design fault at the time. Now I believe they are still doing that, because obviously it's a system they're stuck with and they go with it. But that would be my gripe on this one, and as such the only mark it has is a slight mark on the underside of the silencer. And I would bet money that if you go and look at anybody with an S410, they will all be the same. That's what it is. It is a thumbs up, thumbs down shooting position. That bolt is beautifully smooth, and it is a dovetail rail on the top. Now this was bought 20 years ago, 20 years ago, and it is still, and it's never been had anything done to it other than Karl. And I just said to him, I said, just have a look at this, see what you think. And he just set to on it, and he has done amazing work on this gun. And it's just so smooth. It's not rapidly increased the power or anything like that. It's just kept it as is, as I say. Basically is what I would call he's blueprinted it. And it is amazing. Brought it out because recently I had the X200 Vanguard sent to me by Air Arms. And I thought, yeah, okay, we'll have a go at this. Now this particular gun, unlike the S410, because the S410 is designed, made, lovingly put together here in the UK. This particular gun has been designed by Air Arms, and it's their first one with a buddy bottle on the front, which incidentally is 350 cc's. Now that particular gun is then made by Pressy Hole out in India. It's a polymer stock, a plastic stock. There's actually seam lines on it, so it's not quite as beautifully finished off. It is a rather abrupt upright grip. It's almost like an AR-15 angled grip. You can use thumbs up, you can use thumbs down. The trigger on it is pretty good, but I must say, as I said before in the original video, this has been fettled. This trigger has been adjusted to get it set just right for me. The side lever is really very, very smooth, and that hasn't been touched. It has the safety on the left and right hand side with forward for fire, back for safe. And it's a very simple system, and it works. It also has a 10 round magazine. I believe it's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I beg your pardon, it's 12 in 177, as opposed to the 10 round that is on the S410. They are similar designs. It's the same principle. The only thing is with the X200, it is actually spring loaded, whereas the S410 traditional style magazine, it just indexes it round and it stays there. Not a problem, it works perfectly. You don't need to be taking fronts off or anything else. It is absolutely perfect, and I can't remember a time that has ever failed on me. So, similar magazines. This also has a dovetail rail on the top, the same as the S410, rather than taking the opportunity perhaps to go Picatinny Weaver. So they've stuck with it. Now it is a split rail system, the same as the S410, so you have got to be mindful when you're positioning your scope as to what size mounts you've got and where exactly the base of the scope fits. When I first fitted this marksman scope, which is a beautiful scope, I don't think they even make it anymore, which is such a shame because it's an amazing one. The magazine wouldn't fit because it was catching on the nitrogen purge point. So I had to reposition it. So you will need to be mindful of that because it's a split rail system. The barrel on this is considerably long, and it does come with a silencer, certainly on the initial run of these. The stock is super adjustable with multi-point adjustments going off all over the place. So if you can't get this to fit you, then you're either an odd shape or you're not trying hard enough perhaps. But there you go. So it does seem very quite wide-bodied on the underside here. That wind is awesome. Very wide on the body underneath, and it does have a rail system on the bottom to be able to fit different items of your choice, bipods or the like. Now it is without a doubt black and more plasticky than the more traditional beautiful beach stock that is on the S410, and it feels a different rifle to this. Now air arms have gone down almost like the tactical look, but it is strictly speaking still just a rifle. It is quiet. Both of these are very quiet. Take the silencer off and it sure as heck isn't quiet. So you will need to be shooting with a silencer on if you've got neighbours or if you're trying to do a bit of pest control. So what is the main difference other than plastic stock, wooden stock, side lever, bolt action? Well, one of the points really is this has a maximum fill pressure of 160 bar, which in this day and age is pretty low. Now 20 years ago, when you've got 180, 190 bar, you could be forgiven for that maybe, but 160 bar on a modern gun does to me seem very low. And even though you have this huge capacity 350cc tank on the front, your shot count is up to about a maximum of 120 shots. Now a lot of guns that are out there at the moment have 300 bar fill pressures, or at 250 at the least. So Air Arms have taken the opportunity to bring out a new rifle, which I absolutely applaud them for, but in some respects they perhaps missed a bit of a trick, because a weaver rail, a Picatinny weaver rail on the top, and getting that pressure up would have resulted in far more shots. So if you're taking this, because it's an all-weather stock, if you're taking this out pest controlling, you're going to need perhaps a few more shots because you're not going to get back to be able to fill it up. Target work, it really doesn't matter. And as I've said before, are you really going to bring 120 bunnies back? I don't know, but I have seen people do that with rats, and I can't help feeling it just needed that bit more pressure, higher pressure, to be able to get that higher shot count. And who knows, maybe moving forward they'll play around with some trickery in the valves in here and actually get it to accept more. I would have thought 200 is a minimum starting point to my eyes. If you don't agree with that, please leave the comments below. That's the whole idea of this. lower shot count than you would perhaps anticipate. It's not overly heavy at all. In that sense, you could use it and take it round all day. It's very adjustable, more adjustable than the base traditional rifle of the S410. And the S410, I suppose, has an old-fashioned bolt to it as opposed to that beautifully smooth side lever. Lengthwise, similar, really, depending on where you've got your stock. So there's similar length, and this is classed as a carbine, not a rifle. So it's not made it hugely long. It's no musket at the end of the day. There are one or two points, as I've already highlighted, that I think the X200 would benefit from, and by comparing it to a 20-year-old gun, then in some respects you would say you're not being fair. But this gun is still available, and I'm glad it is, to be honest, because it is a very good rifle. In this day and age when everybody's going for the more tactical bullpup look, it's refreshing to find this is still going. Do they sell many of them? Probably not. I don't know. We don't, certainly when I've been down at Vector Air, you don't get many people asking for it, which is such a shame because they are missing a trick. But there's a lot keeps coming into the market all the time that is probably taking its place and pushing it to one side. And I suppose, as I've already spoken, when there's 250, 300 bar fill pressures, then they're starting to become a bit of a dinosaur. Now, that isn't the be-all and end-all. The fill pressure isn't the be-all and end-all, because if all your shooting is in the back garden, and this only does, say, 80 shots, well, so does the GX, the GX250 or GX40 and the like. And one of my rifles that I really like, which is very similar to this, is the Karl Puncher K. It's not huge shot counts, but it does have a starting point of a higher pressure than both of these, and it's considerably cheaper. Is it made as nicely? Well, probably not. It has got Turkish walnut and it is very nice, but anyway, I'm not here comparing that, but I'm just saying, yes, I understand there are lots of different guns that are available in the market, but these two, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try, it is blowing like billio, I am going to try and do some shooting. I actually did some a little earlier on when it wasn't quite as bad, and both of these performed exceptionally well. And this one you can already see what it was like because I've done the video on this one before. So what's the main point on these two? I suppose the main point is this is intended to be more of a budget end, but it comes in its limited number and only a 177 at the moment at a price of £699. Let's just be real with that. Let's round it to 700 because basically it's a £700 rifle as it stands. The S410 is 850. There's £150 difference. Now you could argue the toss that the difference between the two buys me a decent scope on this. I get it. But the £150 difference buys you a much nicer stock, in my opinion. It's a beautiful gun. It always was and it still is. And it's down to personal choice. A lot of people prefer the tactical look. Me, I prefer the wooden stock. I really, really do. So, £150. Now I have to be very careful here because £150 to some people is an awful lot of money, and to somebody else they wouldn't blink at it. Me, well, I'd think about it because £150 is £150. But are you better off saving up for that little bit longer and buying the S410? That's down to the individual. That's getting crazy, that wind is. That's my thoughts on these two. I would love to hear your thoughts about these two rifles, whether you own them, whether you've shot them, whether you use them, just what you think they look like and what your opinion would be around them. I'm really looking for your opinion between these two. No doubt somebody's going to compare it to a Viroc or whatever else, that's fine. I'm really just looking at these two at the moment. So first thing then is they've both been kitted out with some decent glass, and I'm going to get them down the range now and hope I can do something in these conditions. And if nothing else, it's going to show you the difference between shooting with a 177 and a 2.2 in windy conditions. That's what wind does. That's that.
Yeah, it's not happening. I'm going to get the wheel bearings up.
Right. I'm still filming, but
I probably just walked onto camera then. I do
yeah, you have. Yeah, she was. Mrs. AR. That's quite interesting. I won't go and fetch it. You can probably still see it on screen. The one on the right, that was just one gust of wind, and if anybody doesn't believe that wind affects a rifle, that is a prime example. And that grouping that was putting together, I think, is tremendous in these conditions. I absolutely think it's tremendous in these conditions. Now I'm now going to shoot the 177, which is wholly unfair in conditions like this, but I'm still going to do it. Let's just see it. I know already that this is actually quite, whoa, this is quite an accurate gun, so let's not take it too seriously on this, but if nothing else, it shows you the difference in windy conditions. This is abysmal. It's just crazy, the wind. Obviously you've got more shots with this X200. Oh, that was me. Sorry, that was definitely me. Forget that one. That's bang on. That's it. That's 12 rounds. To be honest, I've really enjoyed that. Let's go and get them and just show you. Now these are likely to get blown away. S410 X200. That one was unbelievable. The fact that the wind just took it that far, and it was a massive gust that came. And sure enough, that's how wind affects it. You can see there's a tight grouping coming together, and the same really on the X200 with the wind affecting it. That one was me, but this is the wind. So both of those, realistically, in conditions like this, I think are absolutely superb. You're going to get oddities. You are going to get oddities, and it's no good when you're shooting down at 40 meters. And I've probably said this all the time, I can be stood here and it doesn't seem bad. You walk down there and it's blowing straight through the paddock because it comes between the trees. So it varies as it goes down. I think those are really, really good. On a calm day, both of these, I'll be putting them as a tight group. Somebody actually left a comment this morning, it was, saying that if you're shooting out at 40 meters, I think it's wrong because you've got them in such a tight group. He could only ever do that at 25 meters. Well, my response would be at 40 meters, even on a day like this, really, you should be taking beer bottle tops out. So if you can't get a group together on beer bottle tops at 40 meters, your gun and setup is either not right or you need some more practice. Because if I can do those results on a windy day like this, yeah, and these guns are more than capable of doing far better than that on a nice summer calm day. So I've got to stop saying so. I do seem to say that a lot. Okay. Valley, as they Spanish would say. The two, which one's the winner? Well, the Air Arms is the winner. It's as simple as that. I gave you the spoiler alert at the start. The difference is tactical, polymer, more plasticky stock, a more traditional, beautiful beach stock. Neither of them are actually regulated. Both of them could arguably do with a higher pressure to be able to run a greater shot count. Both of them are accurate, and there's 150 quid difference between the two. The choice really is down to you, but either of them, certainly on the accuracy score, are pretty much bang on. The triggers are nice, the action's nice. Down to you guys. Yeah, I certainly won't be getting rid of my S410. That was my first one. I think I told you that. That's it. There's no back to the studio because that's the whole thing. The only thing I would say is hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you have, please give us the old thumbs up, subscribe. Don't forget, hit the alarm notification bell to be told when new ones come out. Please check out the AAR on our website for chat, merch, because there's all sorts of stuff on there, and of course those all important competitions. There's been some amazing stuff go through there, and I've got some very, very special stuff lined up, and I'm really looking forward to those as well. Big thanks as always to Vector Air and to Karl for his help with my S410. And the biggest thanks, as always, goes out to you guys for watching. And please, stay safe and shoot safe. And hopefully, I'll see you next time. Probably just more back into the studio, be a bit warmer and less breezy. Bye for now. Yeah, Air Arms wins the day.